Okay. You can tell it's a scratchboard when the back is white, when the surface is nice and smooth, okay? The black paper is black on both sides, okay? And you have to be careful with it because when you draw on Scratchboard, sometimes your pencil lead can actually accidentally scratch the board, or if you erase, it'll leave a pencil smudge on there forever. When it comes to our final project, we'll have a way to transfer your image onto your Scratchboard without having mess ups. But just for this practice one, it's okay if you have an eraser smudge or an extra scratch that you didn't mean to have, okay? And my pears are not going to fit on this Scratchboard, and that's okay. I'm just gonna let this other pear go off the edge. So one thing you may have noticed is the reference photos are not always the exact same size as the paper or the Scratchboard, so just make it work. So that stem's going to go off too. That's okay. Can you guys see this drawing? Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, at this point, you can start scratching. And a lot of students are nervous about it. They don't know what to do. So the first thing they do is they take their scratch tool and they scratch out all the pencil lines into a white outline. Is that a good idea? No, it's not a good idea. Why not? Yeah, I'm not going to be able to take those lines away. And look, is there a white line on the edge of my pear right here? Or right here? No, so I don't want to scratch those white outlines because some of these places are called a lost edge, where the edge of the object fades into its background, okay? All right, so where do I want to start? Yeah, in the brightest places, good. So I'll probably just do this pear again like I did on the last thing. So I know I'm going to start on this right side, and you can use just regular cross-hatching, so just start doing some diagonal lines, but you can also integrate your directional cross-hatching. So I could just start going up the edge and adding some lines. Now there are different types of scratch tools. You'll get to choose which one you want, and I'll show you the difference between the two. But see how my lines are just going with the curve of my pear. And I know that pear is going to be much lighter as I keep going, but I'm just putting in a nice layer. And I'm curving my lines to go with the curve of the pear.
Is that the Scratchboard?
Yep. So this is a scratch tool. So let me get a practice Scratchboard out. Yeah. Okay, so this is one I was just working on before, but this is a red tip one. You can see the tip is like a little leaf shape, okay? And this one you can use in multiple ways. So if I use it on its side, I can create real thick lines, okay? But if I turn it on its tip, I can create really skinny lines. Yeah. So I like that one because it's versatile. But some students just don't like them. They feel like they're dull, or I don't know. So then I have a different kind. This is just 1 point, okay? And it just creates kind of it doesn't get as skinny as those ones do or as fat as those ones do. It's just kind of a medium line that stays consistent the whole time. So everyone kind of has their preference of what they like, okay? I like them both. And you'll get to check one out, but if you change your mind and you want the other one, you can always switch me for the other one, okay? All right, so now I know this definitely needs to go lighter, so now I'm going to add another layer of lines. Okay, so one thing else about Scratchboard, it's a misleading name because you can damage the surface. If you scratch hard into the surface, you can kind of break this little plastic layer that's underneath and damage your Scratchboard. So you really have to think of it more like scraping, where you're scraping off the black layer to reveal the white underneath. It's really not scratching. And as you scratch away, there's like black dust that builds up. You guys can see it on my fingers. So it's good to kind of wipe that off every once in a while. Okay, so when I need to transition into the black, I know my lines need to get spaced apart and thin, as we learned from crosshatching. So that's how I create those in-between values, or these dark values, is I just use very, very few lines that have a lot of space between them and not very many layers. Anything black, I want to leave the black of the scratchboard. Okay, is that starting to look good? It's a slow process. The worst mistake you can make is getting impatient and going fast. Your line, I can always point out like when you've gotten impatient. And I will do it. I will say, this looks really good, except it looks like you got a little impatient right there, and then the student always laughs and giggles because I pointed out exactly where they got impatient and their lines get really sloppy. So just make sure to take your time and work in layers. So when I know something needs to go brighter, I just add another layer of lines. And I know there's a brighter highlight right here, so I'm going to scratch away a little bit more to create that highlight. There's one right here. Anyway, how's it looking so far? Now, does it look exactly like the photograph? No, Scratchboard is a different style. It's a photograph. You have to create value with lines. So you get kind of this liney, hairy look, okay? But that's just the style of it. As you get better at it and as you keep adding, it looks better and better and better, okay? Lots of times the first thing you do is not the best thing you do. You're like, ooh, that's kind of scary, okay? But that's why we're practicing. Let me think if there's anything else. Does anyone else have any questions about this? Or want me to do a different part of it? Okay. The ground? So I would change my direction and I'm going to work horizontal. That's going to help my ground look more like the ground and not get distracted with the pears. Okay, so directional cross-hatching is helpful. You don't have to stick to it all the time, but just if you use it as a general guideline, it's helpful. Does that answer your question, Hunter? Okay, and again, I'm leaving my shadows black. I'm going right up against the edge of my pear. And if I want to fade into the black, I'm going to space those lines out and get them thinner down here at the bottom.